one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This meeting is being live streamed by Chelmsford Telemedia and posted to the CPS website for interested community members to access and watch. In-person public participation will be taking place tonight in accordance with the Chelmsford School Committee public participation policy. Anyone speaking tonight during the public input portion of this meeting is notified the superintendent's office of a desire to speak and has been provided with these guidelines. Upon request, written comments received no later than 12 p.m. on the day of the meeting will also be read and made part of the record at the second public comment session. So welcome to this meeting of the Chelmsford School Committee. Our first order of business is to approve our minutes from our meetings on October 21st and November 3rd.
Okay, I move that we approve the minutes of the regular school committee meeting of October 21, 2025.
Second.
Second. Okay, any corrections, comments, questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye. I move that we approve the minutes of the regular school committee meeting of November 3rd, 2025.
Second.
Any questions, comments? That was the workshop we did on AI. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Great, 5-0 on both. Okay, next up, we'll hear from our Chelmsford High School student representatives.
All right, so a lot is going on in the building, as on Thursday, we're going to start Spirit Week. The first Spirit Day is going to be Color Wars. My grade has orange, so I got to find something orange. And then it's Jersey Day on Friday. That'll be very easy for me. Hat Day on Monday, Pajama Day on Tuesday, and just School Spirit Day on Wednesday. Alongside these Spirit events are multiple other events that go along with the dates of Spirit Week. Them being the Jelly Bean Counting Contest from Thursday to Tuesday at lunchtime, a non-perishable and winter clothing food drive ran by NEHS, karaoke during lunch on Friday, and a powder puff game in the stadium on Monday at 7:30 to 8:30. The pep rally's on Wednesday, and following that, the football team is going to destroy Billerica in Billerica on Wednesday. On Thursday, they're going to destroy.
In a legal way, within the rules.
To continue off Patrick, the craft fair was last Sunday. It was a great success for everyone in the Chelmsford community. It was held by the class of 2026, and I talked to Ms. Sullivan, who was the class advisor, and she helped orchestrate the event. She was very happy with the results, and I thought it was pretty fun as well. The CHS Theater is performing their musical this Thursday to Saturday, and the times for the shows are all at 7 p.m., but on Saturday, they rehearse twice, once at 2 p.m. and then at 7 p.m. And then to end it, the homecoming dance is next week, November 25th.
Great. All right, thank you very much. Okay. Anybody else have any good news to share?
Just more of a public service announcement. Tomorrow is a half day for elementary and middle only. Sorry, guys, gotta go to school tomorrow. Full day for the high school, so just keep that in mind that the students will be coming home for teacher conferences. So, see a lot of traffic at noon time. Kids need to stay in school.
Yeah,
I'll come visit.
it's all right.
All right, any other good news people want to share? Sorry.
I'll just share on behalf of all of us that the listening public knows that last week we all went to the Massachusetts Association of School Committees and Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents annual conference where we were able to do a lot of networking and attend quite a few really informative sessions that helps us in the work that we do. So it was good that we were all able to attend, get something out of that.
And where we learned that healthy conflict is very important to move things forward.
Oh, man, I agree.
Keynote speaker, right?
Great.
That was good.
All right, anybody else have anything? All right, I just had one. I received an email from Lori McCarran, who used to be very active in Chelmsford in the CPAC. She's now very active at the state level. She was just letting me know that November was officially designated as CPAC Awareness Month by the governor earlier this month, and that the color of CPAC awareness continues to be yellow. So
Okay.
November's CPAC month. All right, I don't believe we have any public comment registered, so we can move on to new business.
We don't. Thanks, Dennis. Certainly. First up this evening is a spotlight on one of our departments. So I'd like to welcome up Abby Dick. Abby is the department coordinator for English Language Arts in grades 5 through 12. So Abby, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Hi, it's good to see everybody.
Hi, Abby.
So I am here representing grades 5 through 12, which means I spend my time at Parker, McCarthy, and CHS. At Parker, we have 17 teachers who teach ELA and social science. We have an extra fifth grade teacher this year, so so that's why there's 17 instead of 16. At McCarthy, we have 8 teachers, and at CHS, we have 13.4, and that is because we have 1 teacher who teaches 2 Englishes and 3 social science classes. And I always like to include the standards because I think when people look back on English, they think you read some novels, you talk about it, but there are a lot of critical skills that the teachers are responsible for teaching every year, and it's really important that students make growth over that time. So speaking, listening, language, there's a lot. So one thing that we always do is have throughout the year regular data meetings to track student growth, to find out who's falling behind and needs some additional support, who's on grade level, and who is ready for enrichment, that they're performing beyond grade level. So we get that information from DESE, from iReady, and from IXL, which we use at the high school level. And something that's been coming up for the past 5 years or so, since the MCAS transition from short answer questions to longer essays, is that we have a couple of concerns that students are struggling to show what they know in their writing. So students, both in testing situations and in class, when asked to write an essay, are writing 1 or 2 paragraphs instead of 4 or 5 paragraphs. They're struggling to generate new ideas to help compel them to write those extra paragraphs. So that is something that teachers have been noticing. And from the teacher point of view, we really struggle with consistency when teaching writing. So when students move from 4th grade to 5th grade, the 5th grade teachers think, I have to start all over. I got to teach them my system of ways to do reading and writing. And then they move to 6th grade, and the 6th grade teachers think, well, I have my own system, so I need to take the time to teach them that. So we all recognize from K-8 and beyond that we have some consistency issues from grade to grade. So this is the year that we really wanted to focus on idea development. So the MCAS rubric has a top and a bottom. The bottom is spelling, grammar, usage, mechanics. Our students traditionally do really well on that part of the rubric. What they struggle with is the top part of the rubric, which is idea and topic development. So they struggle with this because it's the hardest thing to teach and it's the hardest thing to learn, because you have to be able to integrate what you've read into a well-developed essay. So idea development is comprised of having a thesis statement, having evidence and details from the text. This was a big shift in our standards too, that we moved from isolated writing passages to you have to read something and then respond to that thing that you just read. So they need to pull evidence from the text. Organization, knowing that you have an intro and a conclusion and body paragraphs. Expression of ideas or elaboration, and awareness of task. So students have to be able to write all sorts of different writing pieces in response to a type of task. Informational, narrative, they have to write stories. So students need to be aware of what the question is asking them to write about and how they should go about setting up that essay. So Kelly Rogers and I have partnered with this group that we investigated called Think SRSD. And SRSD stands for Self-Regulated Strategy Development. And it is an organization that is based on previous research into the science of writing and evidence-based writing practices. And the hallmarks of it are consistent acronyms starting in kindergarten and moving all the way up. So right now we have a bunch of different strategies for teaching writing. This really aligns those by using the same types of protocols. It also features a shared system of the protocols and strategies and really clear, explicit instruction to support all learners, because teaching writing is very, it's hard to make it concrete for the learners in front of you because it's so abstract. So the program is really a series of very explicit lessons that help build students' confidence over time. So it starts with a pre-assessment, which is really asking students if they know the academic vocabulary that we're going to be using. So if you hand students back an essay and say you need more evidence or you need more details, if they're not sure exactly what you mean by evidence and details, it's hard for them to revise their writing. Then they teach power cycles, which is the writing process, which I'll get into. The next lesson is on modeling using exemplars from previous student essays that were successful. And lastly, scoring the essay and goal setting for the next essay. So those are the basic premise of the program. What we liked about it too is that these strategies will work with any curriculum program that you buy. As long as students are reading and writing, you'll have the materials to use these strategies. So one of the first things students do is they read something and they determine the gist of what they just read. So the gist is a one-sentence summary of what happened in the passage. We like this structure in this graphic organizer because not only does it get students to capture their comprehension of what they just read, but it also breaks it into parts of a sentence for them to put together. So the problem with the writing instruction that we've been experiencing is that one teacher's calling it the gist, one teacher's calling it the main idea, one teacher's calling it the thesis, one teacher's calling it a summary statement. So kids are going from grade level to grade level, remembering one kind of sentence structure, and they're not really putting it all together. And the heart of the program is really what they call power cycles, which is basic, the writing process that all students need to know. You need to plan what you're going to write, actually draft it, edit and revise it. The R is capital and the E is smaller because revision is seen as way more important than editing in this particular setup, which is, revising is really hard. Editing is easy, having a checklist, but this really focuses on having students reread their work and revise it. And lastly, scoring, but not just to get a grade, it's to also help students set goals for what they need to do better. So the students should be able to see their own growth over time. So there's like a metacognitive or a kind of reflective process for the students in this process, which is definitely missing. Sometimes they just get the grade, move on to the next thing. This reinforces that, that strategy. Another big part of the program is highlighting exemplars. So students need to be able to take good pieces of writing and highlight where is the thesis, where is the conclusion to this paragraph, where did the student who wrote this get their evidence from. It does involve a lot of highlighting, which helps make it really concrete, the parts of an essay and the parts of a paragraph. So we're already on board and purchasing the highlighters, and they're drying out, and we're making sure we have all the colors that we need. And the end goal of it is the scoring protocol, which they have that's really focused correction areas. So over time, students can see, at the beginning of the year, I didn't really know what to do in a conclusion. And by midway through the year, I'm getting better at trying out different ideas for a conclusion. And by the end of the year, I can clearly identify a conclusion and say why my conclusion is good. So the scoring is both for the teachers and the students to make sure they understand where the progress has been. The title of the book that we've been using for the program is called Releasing Writers. And it took me a minute to try to think through, like, where does that title come from? And it's from the gradual release of responsibility kind of model that the program does. So it starts with the teacher responsibility of doing it, then guiding everyone through it, then having the students in groups working on it, to them doing it independently. So slowly, we're taking the really difficult task of teaching writing and moving it from the teacher responsibility to the student responsibility. The last thing that I wanted to mention was a few weeks ago we had our 8th grade, formerly called 8th grade parent night, now called prospective students night. And all of the coordinators, we come and we talk about what our department has to offer. And one thing that parents were really impressed by and that kept coming up was that we have so much advanced coursework in our department available for students. We have 8 sections of APs running. And in those bottom 4 courses, we have 20 sections running where students who want DE credit can take those courses to get the credit. When the DE program started, we really didn't have any of that, and now the teachers have put in such an investment to getting their syllabi approved, to getting themselves certified to teach the courses. So it's been a real journey, but I think it's a real testament to the work that the teachers have put into building the program. And that is what I had.
Great. Anybody have any questions, comments? Susan?
I have a question.
Yeah.
First question, does Fountas and Pinnell go through 5th grade or is it 6th? Which grade does it go through?
It goes through 6th grade.
Okay, so I am thrilled with what you're doing here with writing. I think it's necessary, and it sounds like it's really got a structure for everyone. My question was more about the texts. My understanding has been, and we've had teachers here tell us that Fountas and Pinnell relies more on teacher read-alouds. So is this writing program based on writing about what the teachers read aloud, or are the students actually reading the texts and then doing the writing?
So we are in the midst now of creating some documents and resources of places where teachers can pull text from. So they can certainly pull from an interactive read aloud in Fountas and Pinnell. I would suggest that they take a portion of a story or a book that they're reading, and the teachers would type it out and have it separate, so the kids have it in front of them while they're working on it. But we also have Scholastic magazines. We have books of mentor texts that we can definitely add into it. So, yeah, that was definitely a concern. And
Because it's different skills.
totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. We have purchased additional text so that students always have in front of them the text that they're working off of for these writing tasks, because it would be really hard to base it just off the book that the teacher read. So it's a work in progress, but we know we have plenty of resources, places to find texts. The next hurdle for us will be finding exemplars of good student work. So teachers are encouraged this year to pull the best essays from every assignment they do, and so we can collate those and make sure that we have them available to teach the writing process with those pieces. But yeah, finding texts, we have some, but we're definitely getting more.
Okay, good, thank you.
Any other questions?
So this is 5, for you, it's 5 through 12. What, the same thing though is happening in K through 4? Same exact thing?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because I am so happy to see this. I am beyond happy, because I really think the way we're going here is that writing brings it all together. If you can't write about it, you don't understand it.
Yeah.
That's how I really have always thought of thinking. You have to not only do it in your head, you have to put it down on a piece of paper. But the problem is that we are going towards that wonderful AI thing where voice and speaking is more and more the way to go. And I'm hoping that we as a district really make sure that the writing is always in there. Because you really can't speak well and ask the right questions and do the right inquisitions unless you've really put it down on a piece of paper at some point. Maybe not paper, maybe on a digital screen, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, okay, I think, so I am so happy to see this, Abby. And I think that this is going to show great improvement. And they need it, our students need it, because once they get beyond what we're doing here, they have to, look at, the college essay is always a big, big thing for all our students.
Yeah.
You've got to summarize yourself, who you are and what you want to be in a piece of paper, 1 page long. I mean, really, it's the key.
Yeah.
So I am really thrilled. I was so happy when I saw this, and I can't wait to see the examples.
Yeah,
Just a
we,
quick follow-up, excuse me, you said the students need it? The teachers needed it too. I've heard from so many teachers they needed something more structured, so thank you for helping find it.
Yeah, so we pulled at least 2 pilot teachers from grades K through 8. So they've gone through like more extensive, like 2-day long kind of training. But then every teacher in K through 8 is going to go through it. And I involved a few 9th grade English teachers as well, just because we don't get the chance to collaborate that often. But my hope is by next year, some of that is going to be trickling up to the high school. They're going to say, all the kids are saying gist, or they all know what a supportive piece of evidence is, so I want to make sure the terminology moves up through the high school as well.
Because if I remember this correctly, and you guys can chip in on this, but once you get into high school, it's not really a writing course. It's writing as part of your assignments. You've got to come up with an essay or whatever about a book you read or those type of things. So it's not about actual writing, really, truly.
Yeah,
And so if you haven't gotten it by that point, that you need a thesis statement, a conclusion, your reasoning, all of those things, it makes it very difficult to do all of your assignments.
Yeah, and I've noticed this in my classes. I know in history class freshman year, we did the write-ups, and it was the exact same way of writing with this power setup, even in the way that you highlight your thesis, your evidence, your analysis, and then tying your analysis and evidence back to the thesis. And the whole way of that we planned it, this is the exact same way that we write in the high school.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Okay, that you get to that level, right? Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I remember like my English class last year, we did like pretty much the same thing with the highlighting and everything. And I think it's great. Like that works.
To get there and already know it is
Yeah.
fantastic, right? So, great.
and it's really building blocks, like kindergarten, grade 1. There's songs that go along with this. They're writing sentences, then to paragraphs. Then by 7th and 8th grade, really detailed full essays. But by high school, you're writing 3 5-page essays that aren't just 5-paragraph essays, but you still have to know the structure of what an essay entails and what's required and what makes one successful.
Yeah, and life just isn't life for a parent without some of those essays with all the phonetic spelling that you have to try to figure out yourself once they show it to you. I mean, that's absolutely great, okay? So I just am so happy to see this.
Great.
I just want to, first of all, echo that I agree, this is great, and it sounds like it's been much needed for a while. I have an unrelated question, actually, which is, from your perspective, have you noticed, since so much writing is now happening on computers, are students' typing abilities supporting or causing challenges with their writing conceptually, if that makes any sense? Like, I'm just curious because I know my kids have done perfunctory learning to type, but it's never felt like it was quite as systematic as when I was younger and learning to type with home keys and things like that. And I know I hear frequently from kids in Chelmsford and their parents that their challenges typing continue to cause challenges in writing fluently or becomes a distraction. And I'm just curious if you're hearing that from teachers or seeing that, or if I'm seeing anomalies.
Yeah, not really at my level. I think in 5, 6, there are some students who type more slowly than their ideas can come out. I do know we've experimented a lot with voice to text, like different tools that kids can use to get their ideas out more quickly. I haven't heard too much about that, but I do agree that it's definitely a concern.
It just struck me as a question mark, right? Like as we lean more into using technology for all of our work, not just the writing. I
Yeah,
want to make sure the hard skills are keeping up with it.
that's true, yeah.
All right, any other?
Just voice to text is not allowed in MCAS, right? Right, in the testing?
No, it's not allowed.
It might be an accommodation of like a scribe or
Right,
something?
but not in the regular,
But not-
you have to type.
For sure you have to type, yeah.
Yes, so my question would be, what are we doing about teaching typing? But I know that's not at your level.
Well, we
Okay,
do teach handwriting without, keyboarding without tears, so the students do receive that, but I think that stops at grade 3 or 4, don't quote me, so.
It was fourth grade,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the fourth
Yeah, I
grade.
did it up until fourth grade. It
Thank
was
you.
like drilled into
Yeah.
us just how to
You
type.
would it
literally-
help you?
We
Yeah.
did that a lot in
Wait, I just said
elementary
keyboarding
school.
without tears. and you're
Keyboarding
saying
without
drills,
tears,
like-
there was this other dude with
That's
his
what's called,
goat,
though.
told you how to type and stuff. It was, yeah.
Do you feel like you two have, do you both feel like you can type adequately? I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Sorry, this
at this
innocent
point, yeah, I did have trouble in like elementary school, but as we just kept on doing all these drills, there was like, oh, press the J key like 10 times and press the Q key like 10 times. I thought they were stupid at the time, but then I realized that I could not even look at my keyboard and I'm just looking at my screen and I can type words. So I do think at first, obviously, I was a very slow typer, but I think now that I'm a high schooler, I'm able to go through it at the pace that my brain is going. And same thing when I was in like middle school. I wasn't as fast as a typer as I am now, but my thoughts and the complexity of what I was typing wasn't up to like a speed where I needed to be typing as fast as I am now.
Thank you.
That's fair.
All right. All right, any other questions? All right, well, Abby, thank you very much.
Thank you
Abby.
so
Great
much.
information.
Appreciate
I don't know where-
Great.
those things, yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
yes.
Second on the agenda this evening, just a couple of updates for the community, if they're watching. We are going to be hosting our second community visioning session on the Parker Middle School building project this coming Thursday, so just 2 nights from now. It's going to be at the Chelmsford Elks Lodge, 300 Littleton Road, beginning at 7 o'clock. So it's open to really anyone in the community that's interested in hearing an update with regard to the Parker Middle School building project. Again, Thursday, November 20th. There was a flyer in the packet. We've been putting that out on social media. There's a little QR code on it. If you click the QR code, it brings you right to the website that talks about the project. So we're hoping really anyone that has any interest in hearing more about it, getting an update on where we're at project-wise. The fall has been very busy. November has been a very busy month. And really between now and January, there's going to be a lot going on with regard to the project. So stay informed, feel welcome to come. Chelmsford Telemedia is going to record it again. It's not shown live, but they record it, and then it's played on a loop. So we can do that on Thursday again.
I'm wondering, are these flyers able to be translated into the top languages used in the district? Because I just want to make sure that, the full diversity of our community can be represented at these forums. And everything I have seen in terms of outreach has been just in English, and I didn't know if I know our newsletters can be translated, presuming people know how to translate them, but I didn't know if these flyers were offered, or even just write-ups in social media were offered in other languages.
So these flyers, to my knowledge, are only in English. However, we do include them in the newsletter if parents are getting the newsletter. And I do believe the words in the newsletter are translatable if you use the translation function within the SMORE setting. I'll verify that after the meeting, but that would be how they would be like quickly and easily translated. But I can follow up and see, because we do traditionally use Spanish as the second primary language. We do traditionally translate into that as well.
Yeah, I was thinking the top, 2 or 3 languages that aren't English. I think it would get us better and more representative attendance if we could, in social media, have 1 or 2 messages go out that include direct translation, just as a way to ensure that everyone who's going to be impacted by this has the chance to show up while there are still these open fora.
Yeah, let me check on the current functionality just to see like what we're currently doing, and then we certainly can do that for going forward. I did list the December meeting date on there as well, and the flyer in English is in the packet. That's on December 17th. That's going to be a Wednesday night instead of Thursday. We've traditionally been meeting on Thursdays. So if people can't make this Thursday, they're welcome to put that on the calendar and join us in December as well.
Yeah, sorry, just to finish my thought, though, aside from the translation to get people there, I'm thinking also it may be worth considering, if we are recruiting people in their native languages, we may want to think about how we can provide accessibility for those folks to understand what's happening and contribute their ideas in the forums themselves. I wouldn't want to invite someone in their native language, have them show up, and then feel like everything is in English if they needed that translation to engage. So that was the other half of the thought would be, and it may be that we have just a special forum in Spanish, or maybe there's a third language that's similarly prominent. That would be sort of, a targeted one that would include a translator, but I just want to make sure people who aren't fluent in English aren't limited in their ability to contribute.
Okay. All right, let me check feasibility and can certainly report back.
Now, I know you're not putting this on, it's left field, Anthony. Do you know if the focuses of this meeting is gonna be different than the last meeting, what they're gonna?
Yeah, so it's my understanding that this meeting is going to be kind of less interactive like the first one was. But this is going to be kind of, we're already at the history where we're at, but this is going to detail all the work that's occurred this fall at the site when it comes to current building assessments, kind of like where we're at. Again, the different options we're looking at. We're going to get a little bit level deeper into even like what's going into the code upgrade of the buildings, what would be considered part of the ad reno, what would be the new school. They have had all of their different contractors out doing even like the assessments of the actual fields. We had to do like borings, things along those lines. So this is going to be just a complete update with regard to like where we're at, now, and then what's going to be happening between now and December. And then ultimately December to January is when we're going to need to hone in on trying to refine which of the three options we're really interested in exploring further, because that's going to be the work from January to May. So it'll be more informational, less interactive from the members. But again, I think that'll also play a little bit better to the recording and just folks that are going to be watching it from home. Because when we were doing the interactive exercise, it was tough for people at home to be kind of following what was going on. So this will be more presentation format, certainly question answers and things along those lines, but more presentation format from the group, both AA3 and left field.
Great. Any other thoughts, questions on the workshop? Yeah. Right, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moving along, the third item on the agenda tonight is a little bit of work we're going to do on prioritizing the capital planning. So in your packet, I had included information with regard to the town's capital planning process. Dennis, and you certainly can say it, but attended the first meeting of the group last week. What we ended up doing is we always put together a list of school department projects. Every other town department's putting together their topics that they would like to have considered. It comes forward to the capital planning group, which is there's community members on the group. There are elected officials on the group. As I mentioned, like Dennis represents the school committee in it. John Souza does a nice job of pulling it all together for the town. And typically, the town has about $6 million at this point of town-funded money that we actually allocate towards these projects. That's outside of any kind of like bigger debt or in the budget process. So at the previous meeting, I had given you the working list of capital projects. Some have been completed, some will be coming off, and what we have prioritized over the next 3 years. What I did was I broke down the projects that I felt were like the biggest kind of bang for our buck at this point as far as need, priority, that fell into either the 26 projects that were deferred or that were going to be slated for fiscal '27. Made sure we verified project amounts, and then I provided the 8 projects to you at the last meeting. And then this is what's going to be going forward to the group tomorrow night for further discussion and consideration. So what we'd love to do is get a little bit of feedback from you with regard to kind of like what's your priority order for these so that we can present them. And if you'd like, what I could do is, of the 8 projects that are before us, I could give you a quick little description of what the projects are, and then we could just entertain a little bit of dialogue to kind of figure out where they should fall. I'm obviously very flexible in this. I had given some recommendations to get us started, but we can talk about pros and cons of what and make any adjustments we'd like. I will then take whatever our adjusted priorities are, communicate that to John Souza later tonight. He'll send that out to the planning committee so they have it before them tomorrow night. And then, bless you, when they meet, we'll review the projects with them.
Yep.
So would it be okay if I just reviewed
Yeah,
quickly the
just
eight?
to put it in perspective too, so see, as Jay said, we had the first meeting. We have about 6 million that we're thinking that we can invest in capital projects. There are about $9.8 million of requests. So that's why it's very important for us to come up with our priority list, because, while we'd love to get all these done, we want to make sure that the ones that we think are most important are at the top of our list, and they definitely get across the finish line. So as we go through, we really want to make sure that, whatever we think, is most important, that we get that out there, so.
Great. So, again, in no specific order, I just have them from top to bottom. The first one is a replacement rehabilitation of the parking lot, the entry area at Byam Elementary School. This includes replacing the granite curbing, adding ADA exterior improvements to the parking lot. So if you recall, I think it was 4 years ago or 5 years ago that we actually reconfigured the front loop of Byam. We added some parking spaces into the loop. That area is good. I mean, that's in very good shape. But the driveway leading in and then the loop that goes behind the school is in really poor shape. And again, it's not up to speed as far as ADA accessibility with the proper like wheelchair and accessible curb cuts. So that's a project at Byam, and it's budgeted at about $700,000. The second project, the next three are actually listed under building safety and security upgrades. The first one would be at Byam in South Row, and this would be the second phase of the replacement of the clock intercom public address systems with an integrated ENS system. And ENS stands for Emergency Notification System. This is the system that we implemented and installed this past summer at the Harrington Elementary School. So it would be Bill Silva's group replicating that at South Row and Byam. This is going to be something where, again, it's a very significant dollar amount, almost $750,000 if we were to do this in all the different buildings. Staffing-wise, it's very labor-intensive to do. It's something that we're going to try to knock off a couple of schools each year. We just don't have the bandwidth to be able to do them all at the same time. It makes sense to perform South Row this summer because we're going to be doing the roof project at South Row. So the roof and the ceiling is already going to be exposed to have to run the wires. It's all intensive cabling inside the building. The second school, from a budgeting standpoint that made sense, was Byam. Byam and Harrington share the same footprint building-wise, so we know the exact budget cost of Harrington because it was already out to bid. So it's just very easy to replicate that number at Byam because we had the Harrington number. And then in subsequent summers, we would do, probably one middle school. We'll pick up center along the way, but that was the recommendation for the upgraded ENS system at those schools. The third series project, again, under building safety and security, is an upgrade to the building intrusion system in the fire panel systems at our schools. This is very similar to some of the work we've done over the last couple of years where we've seen like elevators had to be upgraded, boilers had to be upgraded, the security systems inside the buildings. And even if you remember, like sometimes when you come in for a meeting here, the fire panel might be beeping in the hallway. It's just because some of the fixtures are really outdated and need to be upgraded. So again, in fiscal '27, we actually had over $1 million because we had multiple schools included in this. We realize it's unrealistic to do all the schools in one particular summer. So the thought process on this is we actually have done some of the tie-ins with the doors with Bill's security system already. A lot of this, again, is cabling, which is just very expensive, but we already have access points, touch points on some of the doors, so it's not going to be as sophisticated as some of the initial quoting for the project. So we feel the $400,000 will get us through Byam and Harrington. Again, the reason Byam was selected on this one is, excuse me, because we're going to be doing work on the ENS system over there. It made sense to have the technology group, where they're already there, integrate the system. And then Harrington as well, because we had completed their system last summer, to just go back and be able to finish this second piece. This again will be phased, so next summer you'd be seeing a similar project at a couple of schools, and it would continue the summer after. But this would, again, the intrusion system and the fire panel upgrades, at least in those two schools. If we determine that there's more money available after we finish those two schools, we might then be able to attack the next school, the third school. But we then also have a much better budget figure after doing a couple to know what it's going to cost as we try to project out the rest of the schools in the district for future years. The next project under a security upgrade is actually in partnership with the police department. And this is to install basically a bidirectional antenna system at McCarthy Middle School so that our radio communication, the portable radios that they use with the first responders, works better. One of the issues that we have in several of our buildings is just because of the age of the buildings and the structures. I mean, a lot of them were kind of built as bomb shelters, so it's very difficult to get signal through the buildings. And as, close as proximity as the police station is to McCarthy, it's still difficult sometimes to get radio connectivity within the building. So this would enhance the radio system within the building. It was something that was identified again in partnership with the police department. So we'd like to be able to implement that this summer. The next project relates to a continuation. Again, this is going to be a consistent theme you see over the next number of years, roof work that's needed within the district. So at town meeting, we actually allocated the additional money that's going to be necessary for the McCarthy roof, which is the rear of the building. So that will take place this coming summer. But we still have from the cafeteria forward at McCarthy that needs to be done. The Harrington School was on the list to have the roof replaced in the very near future. And then the big one is the high school. And that high school roof actually has some active leaks in certain areas of the building, in particular up in the front of the building in the student cafeteria. We have some active leaks, which I'm sure you can attest to.
We have confirmation right there.
We have confirmation. So roofs are certainly going to be a theme. And I think if anything, we've seen just the tremendous cost of the roof projects is going to be something that we have to phase over the years. So what this project would do is actually twofold. It allocates about $1 million to be able to be used to make portions of the high school roof, which are actively leaking, obviously remedy those. But it also funds the Phase 1 assessment for the entire high school, the entire Harrington, and the remainder of McCarthy, to work with a designer to actually design the specifications for those bid packages, to do the formal cost estimating so that we have good hard numbers to be able to then go to a future town meeting, or if we have free cash at the end of the year, work with the town manager to allocate some funds to be able to put towards future roof projects. Ballpark, the Harrington roof, when we go to do that, is going to be somewhere in the $3 to $4 million range. The high school roof is easily going to be in the $8 to $10 million range. The rest of McCarthy is, again, probably going to be in the $5 to $6 million range. These are all projects that are going to be coming due and need to be done in the very near future. There's an outside chance that the McCarthy project, it's not leaking, actively leaking in the front section that's not done. That's in the early to mid 20 years of age. That may last long enough to be able to qualify for the MSBA roof project, the non-core project, the accelerator repair. Last year, they funded projects that were 29 years and older, so we're kind of creeping towards there. That might be one to try to kind of keep going. If we know the high school and Harrington are both in the 20 to 21 year range, they're never going to make the 30 years before they have to be done. So we're going to have to pay for those, through town funding. But this would at least be able to address the immediate needs at the high school, and $100,000 will fund, the true cost estimate, budget work, design work for the roof, so that once the funds are allocated, you can immediately go out to bid and try to have the work performed.
Can I ask a quick question about this? Is there a strategic reason for grouping together all of these different roof projects in one item here in terms of trying to get them approved? Because obviously it's by far the biggest ticket item on here, I think, that we would potentially be asking for. And I'm just curious if there's any chance it would need to be broken down, like we can fund these but not these.
So there's two components to this, and on the town side, they actually do have it broken down into two different pieces. There's $100,000 that's allocated for the assessment, the design, and the cost estimating for the three roofs. And then there's $1 million for the very basic Phase 1 actual repair of the high school roof, which is actively leaking.
Right.
So, technically, if we wanted to split it out I could certainly do that and have $100,000 for the assessment and the $1 million for the repair. I honestly don't see how we don't do both, though.
Okay.
Because the magnitude of the budget that's going to be required for this, it really makes sense to spend the $100,000 to have a good cost estimate done, to have the design work done, so that the projects are basically ready to go to bid. And again, we have an active leak at the high school. To not allocate the $1 million is only in the long term going to be harming the building and harming the experience of the
Yeah.
kids and the staff that are there. So I don't see in the end how we don't, and we can even talk about perhaps prioritizing that higher in the list. I don't see how we don't do that.
Okay, one more question on that. Are these assessments, do they have a deadline, like they expire after the design, whatever they're gonna do? They're gonna do an assessment of what's needed.
The roofs?
Yes, for the roofs. Once they do that assessment, does it expire in any way? Do they have to
Oh.
review it for code or anything else?
Well, I mean, if the code were ever to change, I don't think we're gonna be dealing with that kind of work. So this would be to actually hire, like the design firm that would likely stay on through the ultimate construction, right? So they
Okay.
would do the assessment of what's happening with the roof. They would actually prepare like if we were gonna go out tomorrow and try to have it done, they would prepare the bid documents. And they would also have a cost estimator, take a look at what they truly feel that the project is gonna cost, so that we would have a hard number to be able to fund. So then if we get the funding for it, they would then finalize the construction documents, and it would go out to bid. Because of the size of the projects, we'd likely have to hire a project manager, like an OPM, to actually oversee the work. But I anticipate this would be the designer, because it would already have been designed, that would stay in for they call it construction administration phase, to just see
Okay.
the work be done.
So when you put something out to bid, this assessment that's been done, let's say we're putting it out to bid 5 years from now,
Yeah.
it's still valid?
The roofs are never gonna get any better, right? So I mean,
No, not
that's,
the roof. The assessment that was done, you can still bid against it and you can still, do you know what I mean? If it's
Yeah.
gonna take another 4 or 5 years for us to get to the project itself and be able to have funds in the town for it,
right.
then have we wasted $100,000?
You haven't. This is a necessary step to even just analyze, and properly like document and write up and do some corings to demonstrate what you physically currently have. And then if it's a year or 2 years or 3 years before you go out to bid, you know that that roof didn't get any better in the 2 or 3 years, and it's still made of the same materials. So, no, it would not be a waste of time. Again, I would assume that designer would stay on for the next phase. Even if they didn't, someone would just pick up that piece of the work which was already done, and then they may have to update a cost estimate if something is like 2 or 3 or 4 years down the line, but they have a much better basis to work from, and we'd have a much stronger kind of number that we can back up to go to capital or to go to the town meeting if we had like extra revenue. I'd feel a lot more solid in that ask.
Okay. All right.
It definitely would not be wasted in any way. The next project was switchgear rehab, and I think you heard Christine Clancy talk about this. We upgraded the switchgear we're going to be upgrading it at South Row Elementary School this coming summer because of the rooftop project with solar panels. And this is something we did McCarthy last year, that a lot of these systems are just very, very old. So this isn't even a complete replacement of them, but it's basically just rehabbing the system that's there, is properly cleaning it to maintain its life. Because if one of these systems ever went down, it's not like a local store, or even regional store is stocking these kind of parts. Sometimes they have to be actually made to fit the system. So the rehab basically just maintains the system a little bit longer. But the thought process would be to try to do Chelmsford High School. Again, we know that's going to be a big number. We know that whenever we do the roof at Chelmsford High School, there are solar panels on that roof. We would definitely be kind of fooling around with the electrical within the building. You wouldn't want to have the switchgear go down because of the solar panel work. So that one makes sense from a facility standpoint. The next project is at Harrington Elementary School. We have been kind of slowly going through. We did all the kitchen upgrades at the 2 middle schools and the high school. But this would be replacing the kitchen floor at Harrington Elementary School with a code-compliant, non-slip floor. This is in the serving area for the kids and also in the prep area for the staff. We had done kind of more of a poured floor at Byam within the last year or so. It'd be to replicate that. Harrington is just next on the list to have the floor done. And then lastly, there was a project that was in the fiscal '27 category of about $600,000 to do some work at the Chelmsford High School. The student locker rooms, the boys and the girls' locker rooms, need kind of a redesign, a refresh for better use. The project had been budgeted for '27, again, over $500,000. But there have been different kind of concepts that have been talked about for the allocation of the space and even the redo of the space. So I wouldn't be comfortable going forward and even asking for the $600,000 unless we had kind of an updated design and a use survey done of the space so that we had a solid number and backing to be able to go to the capital planning committee with. Again, this is not a life safety issue. It's more of just a functionality and an upgrade issue. So what we're asking for is $30,000 to basically fund, again, like a little assessment, a little design, and give us a true budget cost of what the project would entail, to then come back on the capital list likely a year from now and be in consideration to have be done, but have a more solid number and an actual design and a schematic concept of what the space would look like after it was worked on. So these 8 projects add up to just a little over $2.8 million. Again, I think these are the most pressing when I went through the list of projects. Typically, of the $6 million that the town allocates to capital, about half typically funds, bless you, school projects, about half go to town projects. But it's kind of our charge to figure out priority-wise what we might want to convey to the capital planning committee as kind of the school committee priorities for the funding.
Okay, any questions, thoughts?
From what you've shared, to me, if we're thinking about this in terms of priority, I'm surprised that the roofs are number 5 because I heard the most urgency around the roofs, particularly thinking of active leaks happening at Chelmsford High School. And I'm curious if there was a reason why that fell comparatively far down on the list. And why, for example, Byam's parking lot and curbing and things like that felt more urgent or a higher priority, or is that right now not in any particular order?
No, and again, that's where I'm open for kind of talking this through and having that conversation with you. I think when I was originally putting this together, Byam has been something that I've been talking with Christine at DPW about, and I know it's kind of a priority for DPW as well, just because of the kind of concerns and complaints that we get from over there. It's also a project that's likely, if we get funding in April, that we could actually, because like putting a bid package together for a parking lot is relatively easy. We've done a lot of those lately. You can turn that around pretty quick, and we could likely get the work done in the summer, going back to the fall. So that was in my mind. The roof, even the high school repair, if the funding gets allocated in April, it's highly unlikely we'd actually be able to really truly do that work before next winter. So you're still talking like a year out. And that's kind of what was in my mind at the time. I will say, typically, the building safety and security stuff always rises to the top for me. And, we definitely should have a conversation about 2, 3, and 4, because you can easily say, if it's a building safety, life safety type situation, maybe those go to the top. Perhaps, even if it didn't get, performed, so that we could, demonstrate that we do truly feel it's a priority, we could allocate the high school roofs before the parking lot. I wouldn't have a problem with that, and I could certainly justify that. I was just thinking in my mind as I was probably putting this together, that was a little bit of the rationale of why it probably rose higher.
One of my thoughts, this is a public forum, so I'm maybe disclosing a strategy here, but I feel like putting our biggest line item further down the list, if we wind up being in a situation where there's pressure to limit how much spending, I think there'd be questions like, is this really needed at all if it's this expensive and it's this far down the list? I also, I do understand the benefits of all of the things you recommended, and I think you've identified the right things, the things that I would agree make sense to include as the 8 recommendations. But to me, it's hard to imagine. I understand that there would be a delay before work could be done to the high school roof, but it's hard to imagine it not being one of our very top priorities to fix a roof that is actively leaking in a high school that serves everybody in our town.
Other questions, thoughts?
Just a general question. You said the town has about $6 million total for these capital improvement projects, and ours being closer to 3 million. Is that kind of what they're likely to allot to the school department?
You can't really say, because again, we have like 9.8 million worth of requests, and a lot of them are continuations, like HVAC at the library. They started it, they need to finish it up. So things like that. So, I went through the first session and it was everybody but the schools, and I went out of there going, those are all have merit, So, would it be nice if we get all 2.8 million of? Yeah, but, I think that's why we have to be very careful how we prioritize in case.
That's what I said.
In case it comes down to, all right, it's, the ramp at the McKay Library, or it's the high school locker room type of thing. So, that's why I think, I agree with the superintendent. I think we should definitely prioritize the safety ones first, like 2, 3, 4. I think for us, that's 1, 2, 3, because everybody understands school safety. And then it's a matter of whether we say the roof because it's leaking or the parking lot, at 4.
Yeah.
So I definitely think 2, 3, 4 should become 1, 2, 3. And then, you could definitely make, even though it's number 4, I think you can make an argument if you have an actively leaking roof that should be a priority. And, and then we could talk about, from there on where we want to put things, but just my thoughts. And I've looked at it for a while.
I support that, Dennis. I think that, first of all, looking at the entire list, anything that has the word safety and security in it, or leaking roof in it, would have made this list for me as well. So this is good. But I think that 1, 2, 3 would be those 3 items. They add up to about $765,000. And then I would put the high school thing as number 4, and the other one as number 5.
Parking
The
lot,
top
5.
one, the
Yeah.
parking lot.
Yeah.
And I feel really bad saying that, because I've heard a lot of things about the Bayonne parking lot, at the back loop especially.
It's all right.
It's pretty bad,
I walk on it like every night.
and you're still
Well,
alive.
stop walking on it so much.
I know, I really should. I walk my dog on that path. But no, the back is it's beat up.
It's beat up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think we should really push to hopefully get it done, but I just feel like of the two, the high school roof feels more critical to me.
People agree the roof 4 on the list?
Yeah, I agree with exactly the order you said, to move the parking lot down and put the others, the 2, 3, 4,
So 1, 2, 3 is safety, safety, safety.
yes,
4 is the roof.
I agree.
5 is the parking lot.
Yeah.
That's,
And then do you want
And
to
then just-
alter?
I kind of like the order 6, 7, 8. I mean,
Those are fine, yeah.
switch gears, kind of, the electrical system was good. And then the other 2, it would be nice to be able to get the kitchen finished off and all that, and the locker room started, but I think priority-wise, those are,
Yeah, to me, I feel like if we can push really hard on the first 5
yeah,
priorities.
I agree.
Not that I think the other ones aren't also important, but if we walk away with the 5 being funded, I'll feel like at least we got the ones that feel the most critical.
Yeah. And I'm sure superintendent will do a good job, try to push for all of them. but,
Right.
Just in case push comes to shove in there, and all the projects we saw the other night, you can definitely make an argument that, they're needed, so.
and these are things we've heard about. It's not like
Yeah.
you just dumped this on
Right.
us
Right.
recently. We know that
Oh, we've
these are
been talking about
projects that
these,
we've been
right.
talking about, so we know they need to be done.
Right.
So does that, the kind of orangey column make sense then? Safety, safety, safety.
Yeah, roof.
Roof,
Parking lot.
parking lot.
Yeah.
Keeping the last 3.
Yep.
Switch gear.
Right, I think that's good.
That's wonderful.
Okay.
Right.
Would we want to make a motion to support that
Okay.
prioritization?
All right, let's see. I move that we reprioritize the, what are we calling this? The
projects.
capital plan requests as discussed.
Can I have more information for the minutes?
I'll give you a blur.
Oh, here, I've got my notes here.
Because that's
Yeah.
So do you want me to say what it is,
not
number one?
necessarily as long as I'm gonna get it.
I'll email her.
Okay,
a little thing she
wonderful.
can-
Just do as discussed, Yeah, second? I'm in a second now. I don't know what's happening, but yes, I'm seconded.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we'll present this, and we'll present this tomorrow night, and,
Sometimes you just gotta throw that second out and
Yeah.
lands.
This is like the
Just-
writing exercises, you know?
what'll probably happen is tomorrow we'll have the superintendent do his, and then all of the people on the committee will get sort of our own list, and we'll prioritize itself, and hopefully sometime in December, we'll come down to the final list, so.
Thanks for doing the capital improvements.
It's a great committee,
does.
actually. John does a great job, good people on it,
Yes,
And like I say, you see all the things going on in town and all the needs.
yeah.
Town, I mean, and the 9.8 million is prioritized. I mean, that's not all the capital needs, but it's the ones that came to the forefront, so.
So can I just ask about your role? Is your role to look at all the projects?
All the projects,
You're
yes.
not there
Nope,
to
I'm a
look
member
at
of the capital
school
committee.
committees
I am not a
first.
member of, yeah, I am
You are
on
there-
because I'm on the school committee, but my role is
Right, your
to,
role is to look at everything.
everything, yes,
Okay.
yes, not just to vote for the school minutes, yeah.
Oh, you have to balance it out across.
I have to balance it out,
That makes a lot of sense.
Terrific.
so, okay.
I
All right,
trust you.
very
Thank you,
good.
folks. I appreciate the conversation.
Okay. All right, personnel, is that it? Personnel? Yep.
Fourth item on the agenda is the personnel report. This is just the activity for the month of October. Just a couple of new hires in the paraprofessional world, a few resignations, and just one retirement came effective in October, but we had known that Diana Florida was retiring, so just sharing that with you.
I did have a couple quick questions about this. The library teacher listed as McCarthy Middle School, is that a split role with Parker and McCarthy?
It
Because I
is.
know I heard that Parker had lost a librarian too.
Yeah, so Parker has a full-time librarian that remains, but the first two periods of the day, several of the special teachers at McCarthy go over to Parker, just the way the schedule is configured, to work. So this particular individual worked kind of half her day at McCarthy, and she always started her day out at Parker. So she did resign to take a job in a different district. So we've advertised for a replacement. I can find out for you where we're at in the process, but it's basically someone to teach at Parker in the morning, and then they go over to McCarthy in the afternoon.
In some ways, I'm relieved to hear that because I was worried we were losing multiple librarians all at once. So I'm glad
No,
to hear
it's
it
just,
is a
it's one
single
person that splits the two schools.
Yeah, okay. My other question is, did we ever get an answer on whether is there a reason or a strategy around the interventionists?
Oh, I did.
Not being
I'm
included?
sorry, I forgot to tell you. I asked Robin this. So in this particular report, we only list full-time people in the school district. So like the full-time admin, full-time teachers, full-time paras. Any of the kind of support roles or part-time roles have never been on the personnel report.
I wasn't sure because I didn't know if the paraprofessional roles technically counted as full-time by that.
Well, they're full-time employees.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why they're on there. I apologize for not communicating that to you.
Yeah, that was fun to figure out the full-time equivalency on that negotiation, yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah,
Question,
we kind of switched, we called it full position equivalent instead of full-time equivalent.
okay.
Yeah.
So, question for you on, I always forget, when do we get the list of who is going to retire?
So people in the district have to give like an intent to retire.
Yes.
So they've done that at this point.
Okay,
And then they have until sometime in January? January.
Okay.
To decide if they want to rescind or if they're going to retire. So if, like, we're in the midst of budget planning now, so at least I have a sense of who could retire. I still leave them as if they hadn't in the budget book. And then after January, if they actually say they're truly leaving, then I go and make the change. I take a deduction and pay and things like that. But for right now, I at least have a sense of who's told us that they're planning to retire. But they can withdraw right up through January.
okay. And I'm going to ask this question, but I'm not sure that it's part of this. It's just because of the library position that I see here that brought it to my mind, is we haven't gone over position descriptions or roles of, different folks throughout the system. And I know that, for example, the library, a person, I think now does substantially different things than they did, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know. It just would be interesting to know that role, the computer specialist role in the elementary school, just to see what those folks do in the system.
Okay.
The typing brought that to my mind as well, because I remember when my kids were in school, it was the computer specialists who did the typing thing. I don't know what's going on with that now. So just wondering where those
Yeah,
roles
there's
fall.
definitely like a little bit more blending of roles, particularly like in the library role. A lot of it's, kind of media related too and tech related. But we could maybe ask Bill when he comes in to do his, because they all fall under Bill and technology. I could ask Bill to maybe touch upon it when he comes in.
That would be great. So the library role falls under Bill
Yeah.
and technology. That's interesting because reading is becoming more and more digital. Okay.
Yeah, and the tech people do too, so he could really probably be the best person to talk about it.
And he's at the end of the year.
He's sometime in the spring, yeah.
Okay.
Would that be
Wait
okay?
for Bill's report on this.
He'll be very excited to give you that report too. I
He
can-
loves speaking.
Okay.
Yeah, he's probably cursing me right now from home.
Any other questions on the personnel? All right, and we have a couple of field trip requests.
Yeah, we have just 2 field trip requests. We have the annual 7th grade students from McCarthy looking to go see the performance of Christmas Carol.
Connecticut.
It's just a one-day trip, but it's over the border. And then we also have the high school band members in grades 9 to 12, just a day trip to the U.S. Coast Guard Academy, but it's in Connecticut over the border as well. So these are not overnight trips, these are just day trips, but they do cross the border. So asking for your permission to approve those field trips.
Okay.
Take them.
I move that we approve the McCarthy Middle School grade 7 students viewing of A Christmas Carol at the Palace Theater, December 19, 2025, in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Second.
And that we approve this.
Are you doing both?
Nope,
That's
you
number
got a
one.
second. Okay, we have a motion, a second on the McCarthy Middle School. Any questions?
That's good.
All those in favor?
Aye. I move that we approve the field trip by Chelmsford High School band members, grades 9 through 12, to the U.S. Coast Guard Academy on March 7, 2026, in New London, Connecticut.
Second.
Okay, any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I ask a quick question for Patrick and the student representative? What would you do if you showed up and you were on a field trip and we just voted no on it? Would you be mad?
I'd be pretty mad.
Yeah, you should say, this is a public
Especially if I
forum.
was a middle schooler going to see A Christmas Carol.
Yeah, right? All right.
I don't think we've ever voted down.
We've never voted one down, but that was just, what would happen? What would,
Just in
what,
case.
Thanks for that warning.
public forum that we'd get that opinion right away. Quit.
All right. I believe that's the end of,
That's the end of it for me.
all right, anybody have any liaison assignments?
You raised your hand first? Go for it.
I do.
My liaison didn't.
Since our last meeting, I did go to the Harrington School PTO meeting, and just a couple of things to report on them. One thing, the principal did report to the parents who were at the meeting that emergency system that they have, emergency notification system, is working very well, and the teachers appreciate how well and how clearly it's working. They're able to use it. They used it for their first Alice drill. Everyone really had a clear understanding of how to manage the situation. So they're really happy with that system there. The PTO's got a few things going on. They have a readathon coming up. It's happening this month. And like last year, they try to put a lot more focus on the reading than on the money raising part. It is a fundraiser, but they really try to get kids involved, even if they're not able to raise a lot of money. This year they have a game board challenge. I'm not really sure how it's working, but it's something to do with how many books you read, and you move along in a game board fashion so you can win prizes even if you don't raise a lot of money. They participate in Dine to Donate. The next Dine to Donate coming up is on January 13th at the establishment, if you would like to come. That's going on. And I did talk to them about, once again, about coming to the New Parker Middle School visioning sessions. And they were curious, they had a lot of questions about it, but one in particular, I think I might have mentioned to you, Dennis, that they did ask about what the experience would be like for students who would be in the current school while the new school is being built, because these parents of the kids who are in elementary school now, their children will be attending the old school while a new school is being built. And if it's on that same piece of land, they're just really concerned, like, what will it be like for the kids in the school? What will happen to their recess time? What will happen with the field use? Will the noise be affecting them? Those are just questions they have, and they just like to hear more about it.
Great.
I've gotten questions like that too, and as the parent of a second grader, I share some of those questions and concerns. The two liaison reports I can share. So we were at our the AI workshop a few weeks ago when the South Row PTO met. So I missed that meeting, but I did get an update from the group that they have been, as always, very busy, beginning to think about end of year activities, even for fourth graders, working very hard on preparing for teacher appreciation events coming up, and always a busy slate of school-wide activities. There's a lot of work happening within the school on tier 2 interventions, specifically thinking about that MTSS model and supporting students who could benefit from small group targeted interventions. Parker and McCarthy met last week while we were at our conference, so I also missed theirs, but got some updates. And the recycling event that was shared between McCarthy and Center School was phenomenal. I believe it was on the 8th of November. I believe it earned net amount at least of $17,281.
It's amazing.
There were about 280 cars that came through, and things from size of TVs to refrigerators were dropped off. Unlike last year, they felt really good actually about the amount of volunteers they had this year, which was good news.
Yep.
The other things I heard were that the Sober Truth Enrichment Program at McCarthy was really well received this year, as was Pizza, Paperback, and Pumpkins at Parker, which is very alliterative. And at both schools, after-school activities are underway and very well attended. Many programs are kind of maxed out in terms of student interest, so there's really high interest in those after-school activities, and both drama programs are actively running and going well. The last thing I'll share, which is not an official liaison assignment or anything, but I just wanted to share that Saturday was the Transgender Day of Remembrance, which was held at the CCA. I was unable to make it, but was given some information just to share that the Transgender Day of Visibility in Chelmsford will be at the CCA on March 29th from 2 to 5. And they're really asking for community members to show up and support some of the bright but often very vulnerable members of our community and show support.
Okay, so we were at the conference for both of my CHS and for the Center School PTO. CHS sent me notes. I did a report in writing to both of them for us. And their, for CHS, their teacher appreciation event went quite well. They are moving forward with their plans for the after prom, and they're getting very excited. They did a overview of doing it at the Elks, and that went really well this last time. And they want to say thank you for the support again this year. They were very excited to hear that. That was CHS. And then for Center, Recycle Day was a topic of discussion because it really was quite an event. It's amazing. I know that somebody who came at the first beginning hour, 8 o'clock in the morning, they were already cars in line waiting to come in. And there was a police officer over there. So I think that that's something that they were discussing as well. And their events keep on going, and it was really well attended on their trunk or treat.
Great. John, anything?
Nothing.
Okay, all right. No, I missed the whole, not the whole thing, the Alumni Association because of the conference. Well, we have Capitol tomorrow night, and then we have, before the thing, we have a building committee meeting on Thursday.
true,
so,
true.
You know, so be busy, another busy week for everybody.
Yeah.
All right, I don't think we have any new items? I'm sorry, I missed that. Anybody have anything?
My class size stuff is coming, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
First meeting in
Not
December.
Bill,
First.
not Bill. Okay, and I'm only kidding. On the I attended on one more thing, the wellness. I had to miss it again because it was during this, all of
Everything.
my events were during this,
Right.
this thing. But they're working on the fair. So if the wellness fair this year for March, it's right at the beginning of March. If anybody has any ideas or wants to see any particular folks there, let us know.
All right, any other new items? Okay, no public comment that I could see, so I will take a motion to adjourn.
You making it? You gonna make?
Well, oh,
You're actually gonna say it all.
I'm
You look
sorry.
very happy. You look very happy about it, but you didn't.
Telepathically, okay, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Apparently, I had already adjourned.